Hey, muy buenas tardes, everyone. I hope everybody's doing well, blessed, and enjoying family. And as always, I would like to start off by thanking everyone for you guys' words, prayers, and your amazing support. Como siempre, del corazón. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you. Now, this time, I would like to continue off where I left off on my story, just to keep putting my story out there for those that are interested in it, and also because I want my full story to be here at the end of the day, not just, my knowings in certain events. So, anyways, I had left off when we had gone to the hole in Vacaville, and, we had gotten transferred to Ironwood. Before, I continue off, I want you guys just to keep in mind, that when I hit Solano and this other person, they weren't my level. But again, they were due to riots. And for those that know the wiggle, when you get a 128D transfer, you just, they shoot you to the nearest place pending transfer. So, anyways, we had got into Ironwood. And, when you get it, you get transfer under a 128D from the hole, the facility you come into, you go straight to the hole, pending seeing classification and getting kicked up to the yarda. So when I hit Ironwood's hole, I wasn't right next to Oso, but he was a couple cells down. I was on the same tier as Sapo from San Pedro, the Billy. So when I got there, of course, I had my paperwork with me, my lockup order, I presented it. I was presented who I was and different other things, And right away, well, I got told by the older Billy Sapo that he had heard about me, and for XX reason, I guess he was a close brother of Raul, right? So again, Raul, he was a great individual. Me, I'm not gonna tell you on his doings or what when it came to his city because I don't know them like that, right? Again, when I came across Raul, he was coming down to parole to the calles, but he made sure he put out the word that, well, basically in so many words that I was his kid when everybody knew that we were just we're sealed up for a while and of course, picked up care for one another. So when this came to light, right, they uh they told me that more than likely one of us, because all the ones that we had came from Vacaville, was going to get kicked out to A-Yard, right? But in the due event that it was me, that there was an individual there claiming to have that yarda for for Terco, you know, and a couple other pilis, right? But the main one was Terco because most of the yarda belonged, most of the pinta belonged to him, and anyways, he had been requested to go back there to the hole and answer up because appeals had already hit the ADSEC from Terco, and homeboy was in no way in touch with him. Just that the papalotes that were being sent to the yarda for camaradas to go ahead and bring homeboy back to answer up, they weren't being met. They were being ignored. So again, he told me since I was close to the other homies that had drove up with me from Vacaville that I knew who it was. And of course my first instinct was you gotta check the 114 lockup order, right? Because I could show you mine that I was only on that yard for 2 days before I hit AdSec, right? But I can't speak for nobody else because at this time I had started having a little bit of colmillo when it came to, you don't vouch for nobody because it would always ricochet your way, and that's the last thing, you don't want to carry someone's lies. So anyway, Sapo said for me to go ahead, and they took my word, right? So days went by, and turning on my bills went back and forth because well, you guys know how it goes, right? They want this, they want that too, so that whichever vato that had the keys for yards, they could actually meet those needs, which was send torpedoes back there on a quick one just to show respect. You guys know what I'm saying, which is they want something for the vena, right? And anyways, as time went by, I went to committee, and I was told I was the chosen one to go to AR, right? So I came back and I informed the Billy, and he tells me, well, look, the vato, they call him Yokes from Pomona Sur Town, Olive Street. He's been on the yard. Yes, he was in Pelican Bay, you know, but he was always there doing his rutina, his program, staying out the way, right? But he came out to the A yard and he seen that basically it was mostly pescados, dispensa, I say it like that. No way am I minimizing the good camaradas on this yard, right? It was just when it came for them to be in contact with Billy's to ask for the 411 on a certain individual, there just wasn't many on the yard, right? When I drove up. Cause anyways, so he told me it was like this. They gave me that direct contact with T from Bassett, and it told me he was already informed that I was gonna go ahead and grab that yard. But it was after I made sure homeboy got dealt with and taken off that yard, right? We don't want him to come back here and answer up for it. We want him back here, period, and gone, because he's claiming something he's not doing. He's fooling the gente, and at the same time, collecting and not giving. As you guys know, you can't get in their pockets, right? But the most important thing was it was a yard. It's where the whole wood is in Ironwood. So if this vato really had the things correct, he would be sending torpedoes back there like on a daily basis. Ahí te va algo para la vena, or a little bit of popoca, or whatever, right? And but he wasn't. Everything was going to his own pocket, right? Or should I say to his own vena? Because when I came out, there was already certain individuals there that were willing to support, right? On top of camaradas that in some sense we had already known each other, so I knew their background was firmes, right? So I went out there, and of course I went through my rojo status for a while, waiting on committee, and started picking up. They started coming up to my door, and at this time I had a homie that was already hitting the yard, so I had that advantage where I could send him out to the yard and ask for certain individuals to go to my door, right? Sneak in the block so we can talk. And so they basically started running me down, that yard, and they don't check paperwork. The vato, he don't really charge you for anything. He allows you to deal with other razas. As long as you break him unfairly, right? He was a homie, but he was a straight tecato, just straight up. His thing was he didn't want no problems. There had already been a couple incidents where the wood pile had taken off on paisas, and this individual just sat back and allowed it, right? Just because the wood pile would get drunk, and all of a sudden they felt like picking on somebody, but they weren't that drunk to be that stupid to take off on camaradas, so they moved on paisas, which is a no-no regardless, right? But anyways, he would squash it right away, just so that the yard stayed open, business stayed open, and he was able to get some dulce for himself. So anyways, you know, I really don't don't understand how, for some reason tecatos when they work out, they flare up, they get big, right? And this vato, Yokes, was exactly it. I went out there and I used to see him. When I went out there, they pointed him out to me, and that vato was always on the bars, right? So I knew that For one, I couldn't look for nobody to go ahead and ride with me on this mission because it had to get done. There was no buts or ifs. I couldn't, get rolled out and getting back there with excuses. Oh, I opened my big mouth and I didn't see this through. Now I knew there was no way around it. So when they eventually moved me to 3 block, and when they moved me to 3 block, I had as a matter of fact, I had a paisano, a BB that was my first celly, and when he told me like get show and and I told him I'm gonna go out to yard. And he told me you ain't gonna unpack your stuff. Nah, I'm gonna go out to yard. I got something to do. Cause in my mind was I'm gonna go ahead and deal with dude and go back to the hole. But at least I wanna meet my goal. Again, I was a youngster, stupid, eager to earn what in my head at this time was what we had to do, right? And anyways, I went out to yard and right outside of 3 block was couple camaradas from my town and from the area, and I always got along real good with the homies from Southside Lowe's and like, well, I got along with everybody, right? But they were outside of 3 block. I always shook their eyes, introduced myself to those I didn't know, and I told him I was gonna take a lap. So I took a lap. I seen homeboy. He was doing pull-ups, right? And I basically just went around and I didn't even hesitate. I went behind him, and in my head was I'm gonna hit this fool, and he's big. He's gonna turn around and whoop my butt straight up. I knew it was gonna. Well, in my head, I had already planned out that, man, I can't let go of this thing. I have to just hold on to it and just keep swinging. And you know, it didn't play out like that. Remember, he was doing pull-ups, and I came from in front of him, and while he was doing pull-ups, I just hit him one time on the side, and I don't know if you guys have ever seen, when you're forcing that muscle to do the pull-up, and you hit him with a metal piece, and from the force, that thing just rips like a big old gash. To be sincere, I even was like, damn, and I stutter. Just keeping it sincere with you guys. And when I tried it right away it was like a second or two that I stuttered, just like, damn. And homeboy had let go and dropped. And when I tried to react to jump on him, homeboy was gone. Sincerely, he was gone. He ran to the MTAs, to the program office, and he locked it up right away. So right after this, it was I called that number they gave me to get in contact with Terco, and officially that yard, you're gonna be the piloto, and they gave me the bloqueros. I didn't have that opportunity because, like I said, there was already camaradas on the yard that were waiting. They were waiting to take the yard over, right? I just happened to be the one that came out and had the direct orders to remove this individual. It had already came down from the bay to do so. But again, someone had asked me, has there ever been camaradas to the gente dirty? Hell yeah. Hell yes, I get along with my story you'll hear. But what I wanted to touch on this for all those net warriors in my eyes is just like a cell soldier, right? Get on here woofing and woofing that I'm this and this and that. Show me. That's all I gotta say. You guys got my name. Show me that I'm this. There ain't nothing that could say I'm that, man. You know, if you're saying I ain't good, because I'm trying to guide the young crowd instead of being those individuals trying to have the young crowd crash, ruin their lives. I've been through that. I've done that to the fullest. And it's just a myth. It's a lie, especially now. So miss me, well, I'm solid. Why? Because you're being punked by these individuals? That makes you solid? I mean, I ain't saying I'm solid. I'm far from. You know what I mean? I'm far from. Like I said before, I ain't nobody. Never been nobody. I was a sureño and I maintain a sureño, period. You know? But again, this is for those young ones. When I took over that yard, there was people getting hit on this yard before I removed this individual, but for the wrong reasons. A lot of people they feed this to the young ones when they get out, acting like they're Tarzan. Oh my mighty, I was out in there doing this, farting fire, and they weren't doing none of that, man. On this yard, there was mostly camaradas, and none of them were questioning nothing. When a when a homie wouldn't get this vato a rack of sopas, he would have him removed, and I'm not gonna say everyone he had removed ended up locking it up, but there's a lot of youngsters. They got hands put on by their own car. Of course, they know better. They decided, oh, I ain't going down that path, and they checked in. Now I'm not okay that they checked in, but again, youngsters don't know better. Instead of the older vatos giving them clecha, guiding them, they allowed them to get stomped in. So what can you say about that, right? Well, I recalled every paperwork, right, on this yard. That was my first thing. I told the bloqueros, every block is to turn in their paperwork. We're going to reorganize, rescreened everything, and we did the reglas de la yarda, everything from the scratch. And I'm not going to say half the yard, but man, I'm pretty close to half the yard locked it up the minute they asked for the paperwork. Because I didn't want the 128G. The 128E, yeah, it's going to be say where you've been at, your primary crime, but I wanted your transcripts from court. There was there was an incident. Let me just get this out the way real quick. When I first got there was an incident, right? There was a vato from OC and a homie from Lomas, from SUV, sniper, that got there. And the homie from OC said that the sniper had testified in a court, right? So, you know, my reaction was, well, where's the paperwork? He didn't have it. He did a request for me to check his transcript. The problem was that homeboy had just got into the yard. He had presented his 128G, but his property had not followed him yet. So he didn't have his thing. So, of course I sat down with homeboy and I told him that I need to check his transcripts because of this, out of respect for a fellow camarada. I have to. He has the right to know he's presenting his 128G. So I told him, and he said, all right, don't worry. I will present my course transcripts. But the minute I do that, I want to make an issue personal with homeboy. And I want your permission to allow us to meet in the middle of the yard and boogie down. And I told him, Simon, you got that respect. But before anything, there's no conflict to be started, no mad dog and nada. You're to do your program and allow things to fall in their own time. Well, that didn't happen, right? First chance home sniper came out to yard, he started whacking homeboy from Orange County, you know. And later on, it came down that another homie drove out that from that homeboy had gotten on the stand and had spoken to get the homeboy caught up. So from then on, it was like, F the 128 and lockup order. I want to see the transcripts. I want this yard as clear as water. Like I said, a lot of locked it up. To my surprise, it was two vatos that didn't though. And when I read their paperwork, not even their transcripts, their 128, they had ours on their jacket. You know, one was from Upland, the other one was from Eastside Duarte, Pato and Travieso. And I feel like like goddamn, they have something well said, But then it came with an appeal stating that they had that okay from I think Travieso from two Pilis. I believe it was Güero and Carlos Diaz from SD and Pato from Lalo. I forgot the other Pili, right? So right away, I verified it. It's Simon. They were not to be touched. As time went by, I learned that homeboys, they had people with feria. They were touching dope, not just on the yard, but they were helping Pili soldados receive dope to bring in wherever they were at. So that trumped them having a rape on their jacket. They never denied it. It was facts as I read the transcripts, detail to detail, which I won't touch, especially on Pato, and it was disgusting on a 14-year-old. And I couldn't believe they were being protected. You know, I shot palabra up twice about Pato because after I read the paper, I was like, oh, hell no. Whoever touches him is done. I don't want to hear it again. Those were the palabras. So for all those youngsters thinking, you're gonna go up in there and be amongst honorable people, nah. You're gonna get told what to do, when to do it, by a bunch of dope fiends, the gatos. I see a lot of vatos that claim to be solid, which they're not. The minute they get up on the comments and start woofing out their neck, self-soldiering, that makes you, man, homie, you must not know what solid is. But we don't, when I was active, you don't do that. And whoever did that, believe me, you're going to break something off or get broken off. Because that's just not a Campolero program. So don't come on here dissing and then contradict everything with your own actions. And I'm saying it, you should know who you are and why I'm saying it, right? You can call me whatever. I'm on a different trip. At the end of the day, woofing is woofing and it's from far away, right? So that speaks about you. But anyways, mi gente, I don't wanna do this. You guys know I'm not on here for any type of disattention. I always give my respects to every channel, to everybody, even disrespectful people in the comment. I answer with respect. But after this is when a new chapter opened up, which was about to start and get there with word from other Billys and politics really started. But again, this story was just for those young vatos thinking you are being fooled that you're gonna get up in there and you're gonna walk amongst nothing but solid vatos. Let me tell you, nah. Every yard I was in that hell, there was always kites being dropped by the so-called solid yards. I don't know how the SNY yards are, but can't get any worse than it was on the GB yard. Especially, well, I'll get into it. I just had someone run me down with a Billy certain actions, and it's like, whoa, talk about playing two cards, right? But anyways, mi gente, I'm still not back to myself, but I'm thankful I'm here. So that's why I tell the youngsters, ignore those misled lies. Be thankful for what you have in front of you, which is your life, yourself, loved ones, in the all sense of that word, right? So stay true to yourself and loyal to your family.